everyone, and welcome to this new edition of Tech Tip Tuesday, where today we're going to be talking about Canva, which is an excellent tool for creating in the classroom. Now, there's lots of ways you can use Canva. You can use it as a teacher where you're designing different presentations or worksheets or other things that might be useful to you in your classroom, maybe even posters for the wall or digital things that you can distribute to your students. But Canva is a great resource for students as well. This is a tool that you can actually use where you put in student accounts and your students can use it. So I'm going to kind of preface this little tutorial by saying that Canva is a really excellent tool, really more designed for the students that I would actually probably say like 6th grade on up, because it is a little bit complicated. You probably could use it with a younger student. I would recommend going through a lot of its use with your students before. This isn't the kind of thing you could just put a 3rd grader in front of and they figure out how to do it. But it is something you could potentially use, and it is web-based. Canva is all done through an internet browser. So this is something that is not device specific. So whether you're on a Chromebook or a computer or an iPad, this is something that you can use. So kind of diving right in. So my screen right now, I have logged into Canva. Nice to know too, Canva is an excellent resource for creating different types of publications, but because the way it's set up, if you're an educator, when you go to log in, so you log in with your Google account, I've already done all this, so this is all set up, but when you log in with your Google account, make sure you say you're a teacher, because teachers get a lot of access to features that are generally paid features. So make sure that you put that in as you are creating your account. So I've already created my account as a teacher. If I click on my little initials over here, I can see some things in terms of account settings. I'm not going to go to all that right now. But the biggest thing is here, this is kind of your workspace, or this is a space where you can decide what you're going to work on in your workspace, I guess. So I've made a handful of things. So under here, under recent designs, it shows stuff I've already worked on. If I keep scrolling down, because this is a program that kind of looks at what you do and runs with that, it tells me things that are trending in education, because obviously everything I use for the most part is within education. It knows I've used a lot of the presentations, so it shows some things there, or infographics. There's a lot of worksheets in here, which these are things that could be presented or used with your students where you print them and they work on them with pencil and paper, or it could be something that you maybe pair up with an app like Canva, where your students digitally submit these assignments to you. So there's a bunch of different types of worksheets. These flashcards are kind of neat. Google Classroom headers, if you want to customize your Google Classroom, different math. So this is all stuff that's just thrown in here because it recognizes things I've done in the past and kind of goes off of that. But this is just sort of a little preview of all the things that you can do. When you want to start creating in Canva, there's a few places where you can start. You can click up here where it says create a design, and you can kind of start going off of the different suggestions. You can, if you're searching for something specific, like if you want to create a poster for like weather cycles or something, you could search for that specific thing and see if there's already a template out there for it, or like graphic organizer. Like if you're looking for something that's like a specific type of graphic organizer for informative essay or something, you could search for that specifically, or you can just kind of click through these things. You can also start designing simply by clicking on any of these recommended designs. So if I'm kind of scrolling through here and I get to this worksheets and I'm like, oh, I really do want to look at these and maybe create something. These are all things that are really made for, oh, here's one a little bit. So I'm going to click on this one that's a writing prompt. So I'm going to click on that. And that's going to immediately take me to the workspace. Now, if I clicked on that create section and found something in there, it would take me to the same place. So both things take you the same place. So it's going to kind of give me some directions here first, and then it gives me additional templates. So if I want to look through some more templates, I can look through some more templates here. I don't really want to do that. But I can edit anything. So you can kind of see, and let me make this a little, down here at the bottom, I can scroll and actually make this a little bit larger. So I'll make this bigger. so it's a little bit easier to see. Any of these things, if I click on it, I can edit it. So maybe I want to change the title of it, or this is giving specific directions about writing about a family gathering. So maybe I want to totally change that up. So I can edit any of these things. If I just click on it, it has this little sort of teal box. I double click and I can edit any of the type if I want to change any of it. I'm going to click off of that. This is also actually set up where the students could work on this digitally in Canva, which is kind of a neat feature, and I'll show you how that works here in a little bit. So you can make this as a printable, or you can make this as something that they work on in Canva. However, over here on the left-hand side is all the different things that you can do to this. So maybe I look at this and I think, oh, this is kind of boring looking. I want some pictures on this. If I have specific pictures already on my computer or things I found on Google, maybe something I've made, maybe my Bitmoji or something, I can upload something. So I can upload. There is a ton of stock photos. So you can kind of scroll through, just sort of look at them. You'll notice as you hover your mouse over any of these pictures, like these all say free. That's because they are free. Every once in a while you'll see ones that, like, okay, so like this one says it's EDU. This means that like I have access, even though I don't pay for Canva. Canva is completely free for teachers. This is accessed through the EDU account, and I get to use this for free, even though it would normally be a paid picture. So you can kind of see how some of that works. So any of these pictures, if I just click on it, and it will, or here, I'll just pick something. Let's see, we'll pick this little scene. It's going to put it right into my page, which that's really huge. So we might want to make it a little bit smaller. That's not the greatest looking design, but it shows you how it works. Maybe I don't like it, I just click on it, I click delete and it goes away. There's also elements. So these are kind of more like clip art type things. So there's lots, again, you can search for things. If you want to just sort of scroll through, you can get some ideas just to add maybe a little, like maybe I just want this little, little line as a just accent. So that's there. Actually, I'm going to need that writing prompt to be in the front. Let's see, we're going to say, so I right clicked on it and I'm going to say bring to front. Okay, so that kind of made it a little more interesting too. So lots of different clip art or graphics, things in there. Again, you can search if you're looking for something specific. Under text, this is where you could add a text box. These ones at the top are just sort of your basic text boxes. If you want something that's a little bit more exciting or interesting, as you scroll down, there's tons of these sort of pre-made artistic looking text, so you could use any of these too if you like that. Audio and video are really both used for something that's obviously going to be more of a presentation format. So you can make a video in Canva. So if you're going to make a video, or if you're making a presentation, obviously things like this could be used. It works the same way. You just click on something and it adds it to, obviously this is a worksheet, so this isn't really something that I would need audio or video on. Although if I am delivering this to my students digitally, I suppose you could put that, but I'm not going to. Also in backgrounds, there's just a lot of different things. Like I could put a texture on it as a background. That's actually a little too busy even. Let's just make it something simple. Okay, so I could give it a background if I wanted. I can click on any of these things and it gives me, okay, that's nice. It kind of makes it look more old paper-ish. And then down at the very bottom, there's folders. This is stuff, if you've already created things in Canvas, you might have some things that pop up in here, but we're not gonna really worry about that a whole lot. So Canva is super easy. So pretty much, like I said, you click on any of these things. Once you've added stuff, you can move it around. I can edit any of the things that are already here. When I am finished, so I've created this worksheet and there's a couple options. I need to decide, am I just gonna print this and hand it to my students for them to work on? Or am I going to create a digital copy of this to give it to my students? And if that's the case, you need to decide, are you giving it to your students in Canva? Like, are they going to write this in Canva to finish? Or did you want to make maybe a PDF and they're going to work on it maybe in Cami or some other PDF annotation tool? So you just have to make all these decisions. So if you come over to download, if you're going to print it, okay, so you're going to need to download it first. So if I'm going to print it, I would click on download. I'd probably make this be a PDF. because a PDF is going to be a simple file for downloading. So I'd probably click on PDF and then click on download, and you can see that it's downloading, and now it kind of shows me I've got this little download here. So this is going to show up in my downloads folder on my computer. So here, let me kind of get out of full screen here. If I open up my file folder and click on downloads, I can see that this is now here in my downloads. And then I would probably put it into my Google Drive because it's something I'd want to keep for future use. There we go. So that is one way. You can download, print it from there. If I downloaded it as a PDF, I could also then go into Google Classroom and maybe add this as a Cami assignment. And if you aren't using Cami yet, you really need to look into using Cami because Cami is an excellent tool for PDF editing for your students. So you can add this in as a Cami assignment on Google Classroom, and then your students have that. It's basically the same as handing them a paper worksheet. So it gives them that tool. I shouldn't say it's the same as, it's a similar concept as giving them a paper worksheet, although it comes with so much more. Cami can allow their progress on this to be collaborative. It can allow you to kind of watch them as they go through it. And so there's a lot of really neat things you can do with Cami. There's a lot of tools for adaptive learning. So anyway, so this is something you could put into Google Classroom as a Cami assignment. However, if I click on these three little dots over here, you'll notice that there is actually a tab for Google Classroom. And what this would do is if I click on this to put this in Google Classroom is, so it's going to kind of take me through. I need to choose a class. Let me go to my test class here, and I can put it in as an assignment. You could put it in as any of these things really. I'm going to make it as an assignment. And then it's going to give me a few options. So this is the same way as if you were setting up an assignment normally. So we'll just call it Canva writing assignment. And then you could put instructions in if you want. Obviously set all of these things as you would need to, kind of how you use your class or use this in your classroom. And then this is going to give a link of this to your students. So when your students click on this, it's going to take them to their own copy of this template that I've created, or this file that I've created in Canva. So then your students can work on it in Canva. And that could be the way that you want to do this. So it's kind of up to you. Let me go ahead and exit this out. And we're going to actually head back over to home, because if that is something you are interested in, you also need to know how to add your students into Canva. So if you are going to use Canva just for yourself, you can kind of end the video here. If you want to use Canva where you're actually kind of using this with your students and allowing your students to create with Canva, which I highly recommend. I'm a huge advocate for project-based learning, and Canva is an excellent tool for project-based learning because there's so many different things you can do with it. It's one of those nice tools, like once you learn how to use it, it's incredibly versatile. And I'm always a huge advocate for those kind of tools. I don't want you to have to learn a million different things. Find the things that work and are versatile and run with those things. So Canva is one of those types of tools. So if you're going to use this with your students, when you are in your home screen, down here kind of on the left-hand side, it says Katie Burgess's class. And that's because that's where your class settings will be. And when you click on that, it's going to show that I have put a design in here for my class. But you actually, before you can do anything, you have to add people. So you have to add or invite your class. So maybe you're inviting different class periods in, maybe you're inviting just like one group in, kind of however you do this. You have a few options you can invite just with a link. So if you click on this, you can just give them a link, whether it's through Google Classroom or through an email or something. You can import right from Google Classroom, which is what I did to do this. If you click on that, it will probably, the first time you ever do it, will take you through some permissions just to make sure it has permission to do this. And then you would click on which class, which I put it in my EdTech test class. And then you would click import, and it imports, or basically it's sending an email to that student. So the student will still have to go to their email, but once they have accepted it, they will show up as a member of your class. And so then that way, when the student goes on here, they will either get, so you can instruct them to go to the same class section where they will get different templates that you create for them, which is a really nice way, especially Maybe you want to have your students create a brochure, but you want it to be done in a specific way. So you don't want to just sort of let them loose on here. You can actually start it and maybe put together the basic format for it, and then they work on it individually. So you could make a template for that and save that here in your designs, or you can give that to them through Google Classroom, how I kind of showed you with that first design. So actually, if I come back to all of my designs, I'll show you. So I've got this writing prompt that I created. If I click on my little menu here and I click on share, I am going to make it so with my class here, it's not shared at all. That's what this eyeball with the sort of line through it. So if I click on that and I want them to be able to view it. Now, if I clicked edit, that means they would be able to change my original file. And I don't want that. I want them to be able to view it. And then once they view it, they can click make a template from their own. And so then they can go from there. So I'm going to click on view. And so that's all set. I don't need to click anything else. I'm just going to click on my X. And then when I come back to my class, and actually, let me refresh this. Sometimes it takes a moment. Okay, so now in my class, it's showing that I have this writing prompt. So when my students come here, they will see this too, all the students who are in my class, and they will be able to click on this. And before it takes them right to this, it will actually ask them if they want a copy of this. And so they just make a copy and then they can edit it from here. So this is where your students could actually do this assignment. And then this gives them a ton of creative control. So talk about like giving students choice in an assignment. Like they could take this writing prompt and they could, add all sorts of pictures, or they could add video, or they could add audio, or they can, design it in a way that is important and meaningful to them. So it really gives them a lot of control, and which makes them both enjoy the assignment and have ownership in it, but it also makes it so, it appeals to more types of person. So anyway, so then they would complete that, and then they can hand that in through Google Classroom. So Canva is just an excellent tool. I really hope you try it out. Please let me know if you have questions on using this. I have found it just to be an excellent resource, both in my classroom as a teacher, and then also as distributing assignments to students. Every time I've done an assignment with Canva with students, I will say students start off by being maybe a little frustrated because there is a learning curve to this, but once they know it, they love it. And that's all they want to use, because it just offers so much more than something like a Google Slides or Google Drawings, at the same time keeping it nice and organized and just providing a lot of resources. So that's Canva in a nutshell. Again, if you have any questions, please let me know. If you have any requests for Tech Tip Tuesday, also let me know. So thanks so much for watching. Have a wonderful rest of the week.